Welcome back to Market Shares. Gas prices hit record highs in the U.S. last year, but so did oil company profits. Market Shares political analyst Luke Radel is joining us now. Luke, talk to me. Who's being blamed for these sky-high fuel costs?
Tegan and Bradley, the main culprit for the blame in the past year and a half, President Joe Biden. He's been blamed and held responsible for these high gas prices by many figures in politics, including Texas Senator Ted Cruz, who spoke about this issue through the lens of history.
Harry Truman famously had on his desk a plaque that said, "The buck stops here." Joe Biden seems to have replaced that plaque with instead the phrase, "The buck stops with Putin," because nothing is Joe Biden's fault. Well, I'll tell you what, the little stickers on gas pumps all across the country illustrate the American people know exactly whose fault this is.
That's right. You've probably seen these little stickers slapped across gas pumps around the U.S., but it may surprise you to learn that just because something is written on a sticker doesn't mean it's true. The White House has pointed to the major news this week that oil companies ExxonMobil and Chevron reported that they hit company record profits last year. They note that Exxon reported $56 billion in profit, while Americans struggled to pay for fuel. Here's President Biden making this argument leading up to the midterm elections.
But rather than increasing their investments in America or giving American consumers a break, their excess profits are going back to their shareholders and they're buying back their stocks, so the executive pays are going to skyrocket. Give me a break. Enough is enough.
But despite the president's criticism, these earnings reports give oil companies no good reason to try and lower their prices. And the reported future plans won't help either. In elementary supply and demand, it follows that to lower prices, oil companies would need to increase the supply of fuel through expanded oil drilling and exploration. The White House has tried to incentivize new oil drilling, a move that's been largely criticized by climate activists in the president's own party. Biden granted more drilling permits in his first 2 years in office than even former President Trump did. But still, oil companies have limited plans for expansion and seem to have found a different use for those record profits. Chevron announced that it'll be buying back $75 billion of its own stock to boost shareholders, a move that was criticized by the White House this week. In a statement, spokesperson for the White House, Abdullah Hassan, reacted to the news of Chevron's buyback by saying, quote, "For a company that claimed not too long ago that it was working hard to increase oil production, handing out $75 billion to executives and wealthy shareholders sure is an odd way to show it." And Tegan and Brad, the national average for gas prices sits around $3.50 a gallon.
So now, Luke, you were talking about people blaming President Joe Biden, those stickers that you see all the time on gas pumps. What exactly is the White House doing to alleviate the cost of fuel?
Yeah, so we obviously talked about the fact that President Biden has approved a record number of oil drilling permits, more than many of his predecessors, including Obama and Trump. He's also released over 1 million barrels of oil every day from the nation's strategic petroleum reserve, hoping to increase that supply in order to lower those prices.